One actor took a fortune and vanished, another slept under bridges, and one never saw another year after Stargate. So what really happened to the cast? We thought we knew decades later today now. Kurt Russell was born on March 17, 1951. He played Colonel Jack O'Neill, the grief-stricken Air Force officer who stepped through the Stargate carrying something heavier than military orders. He carried guilt. O'Neill entered the mission after losing his young son, and throughout the film there was always a quiet sadness behind his eyes that made audiences believe him immediately. What made that performance especially compelling was that Russell understood something about losing one future and unexpectedly finding another. Before becoming one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading men, he once believed baseball would define his life forever. He played in the minor leagues and envisioned a future on the field until a shoulder injury abruptly ended that dream and forced him into an entirely different direction. Sometimes life closes one gate before opening another. That painful disappointment pushed him fully toward acting, and eventually transformed him into one of the most dependable stars of his generation. Long before Stargate, Disney had already turned him into one of its young stars, but Russell avoided becoming trapped by childhood fame and evolved naturally into mature roles. The reason O'Neill felt believable was because Russell always carried something human beneath the hero image. He never felt unreachable. By 2026, he remains one of Hollywood's most respected veterans and one half of one of the industry's longest-lasting relationships with Goldie Hawn. The man who portrayed someone haunted by losing family ultimately built one of Hollywood's strongest families himself, proving that life sometimes writes endings more meaningful than scripts ever could. James Spader was born on February 7, 1960. He played Dr. Daniel Jackson, the brilliant Egyptologist mocked by nearly everyone around him, before eventually becoming the man who understood what nobody else could see. Daniel represented a familiar kind of loneliness because many people eventually experience moments where they feel unheard, dismissed, or ignored by those around them. During the opening scenes of Stargate, audiences watched him standing before experts who rejected his ideas, believing he was simply another dreamer, chasing impossible theories. Ironically, James Spader understood outsiders long before playing one on screen. Before acting began paying his bills, he worked ordinary jobs, including driving a meat truck loading railroad cars, tending bars, and even teaching yoga. Nothing about his early path looked glamorous or suggested future Hollywood success. Then came Sex, Lies, and Videotape, a role that transformed him into one of Hollywood's most fascinating actors almost overnight. Yet Spader never chased traditional leading man fame or conventional popularity. Instead, he built an entire career around unusual people, awkward people, emotionally complicated people, and characters who often felt disconnected from the world around them. Daniel Jackson fit perfectly into that pattern, because he wasn't a hero through physical strength or military experience. He became important because he continued believing in ideas after everyone else stopped listening. By 2026, after years of success, including The Blacklist, Spader remains famously private and mysterious. Daniel spent the film proving people wrong, and perhaps the lesson hidden inside his journey was simple. Sometimes the people standing alone eventually become the people everyone follows. Jay Davidson was born on March 21, 1968. He played Ra, the mysterious alien ruler, hidden beneath gold armor and ancient mythology, a figure whose appearance felt almost supernatural from the moment he stepped onto the screen. Ra was not simply a villain. He represented power disguised as immortality and fear disguised as control. Yet the story behind the actor became even stranger than the character itself. Davidson never actually planned to become an actor at all. He worked in fashion and reportedly entered the entertainment world almost by accident after being noticed at a party. Suddenly, he appeared in The Crying Game and found himself receiving an Academy Award nomination. Overnight success sounds exciting until people actually experience it, because fame often arrives carrying invisible costs. When Stargate later approached him, Davidson reportedly wanted to refuse politely and supposedly requested an enormous salary, expecting producers to reject him immediately. Instead, they accepted. Imagine asking for something impossible and suddenly hearing, yes. That unexpected moment changed everything because it led to the opposite of what Hollywood usually creates. Most actors spend decades fighting to remain visible and relevant. Davidson became famous and then quietly walked away from it all. By 2026, he remains largely removed from acting and has continued life outside Hollywood's machinery and public spotlight. Ra believed eternal life meant power, but Davidson discovered something entirely different. Sometimes real freedom begins the moment people stop chasing attention and start choosing peace instead. Viveka Lindfors was born on December 29, 1920. She played Catherine Langford, the elderly archaeologist whose life had remained connected to the Stargate since childhood and whose curiosity survived long after youth disappeared. Catherine represented memory itself because she carried decades of unanswered questions while waiting for one final chance to discover truth. Yet Viveka Lindfors carried her own extraordinary journey long before stepping into Stargate. Hollywood originally brought her from Sweden during the 1940s, hoping she would become another international sensation, similar to Greta Garbo or Ingrid Bergman. Studios often loved creating dreams for actors before asking whether those actors actually wanted those dreams themselves. But Lindfors survived because she refused to become someone else's version of success. Across multiple decades, she built a remarkable career through films, theater, television, and teaching. Even more impressive was her determination during difficult moments in life. Years before Stargate, she reportedly suffered a violent street attack in New York, yet continued working despite physical pain and emotional trauma. Strength sometimes appears quietly rather than dramatically. Sadly, Viveka Lindfors passed away in 1995 at age 74, less than 1 year after Stargate reached audiences. There is something deeply poetic about her story. Catherine spent the film searching for a doorway connected to the past, and Lindfors eventually returned home to Sweden before her own final goodbye. Some journeys do not end where they begin, but somehow they still find their way back home. Jimon Hounsou was born on April 24, 1964. He played Horus, one of Ra's elite guards hidden beneath armor, and masks a role without many words, but one that quietly marked the beginning of an extraordinary journey. Viewers watching Stargate in 1994 probably had no idea they were witnessing the first major film appearance of a future Academy Award nominee. The reason his story resonates so strongly is because it feels almost impossible to believe. Hounsou moved from Benin to France while still young and later experienced periods of severe poverty and hardship. Reports described nights spent sleeping beneath bridges and searching through trash simply to survive another day. Those experiences could easily destroy confidence, ambition, and hope. But life sometimes changes because one stranger notices something others overlook. Fashion designer Thierry Mugler reportedly discovered him and introduced him to modeling, which slowly opened doors into entertainment. One opportunity created another, and another followed after that, until Hollywood eventually arrived. Stargate became only one step within a much larger climb that later included Amistad Gladiator Marvel films and multiple Oscar nominations. Yet even after decades of success, Hounsou later spoke publicly about continuing struggles within Hollywood systems. By 2026, he remains active both creatively and professionally. Horus stood silently behind Ra in Stargate, but perhaps that silence carried meaning nobody recognized then. The man hidden behind the mask eventually stepped into the light and built his own legend. Mili Avital was born on March 30, 1972. She played Shauri, the gentle young woman from Abydos, who unexpectedly became Daniel Jackson's wife and represented warmth within a world filled with conflict and uncertainty. Shauri brought emotional balance into Stargate because she reminded audiences what the characters were ultimately fighting to protect. Behind battles, ancient mysteries, and alien technology, there were still human connections and moments of tenderness. Mili Avital's own journey contained a similar feeling of stepping into an unfamiliar world filled with uncertainty. After building early success in Israel, she arrived in New York with limited English and uncertainty surrounding her future. She reportedly worked as a waitress on Manhattan's West Side while pursuing opportunities and learning to navigate a completely different life and culture. Imagine arriving in a new country where language itself feels like an obstacle standing directly in your way. Then imagine everything changing almost overnight. Only weeks later, she found herself cast as the female lead in a major Hollywood film. Sometimes opportunities appear quietly before changing everything forever. Stargate opened important doors and introduced her to wider audiences before additional opportunities followed. By 2026, she continues acting while also working creatively in theater and writing. Sha'uri represented hope in a strange world, and Avital's own journey carried a similar message. Sometimes people discover their future only after finding the courage to walk into places that initially feel completely unfamiliar. Alexis Cruz was born on September 29, 1974. He played Skara, the young rebel from Abydos, who quickly formed a powerful bond with Colonel O'Neill and eventually became one of the emotional hearts of Stargate. Skara was more than simply another teenager placed into the story to support the main characters. He represented courage arriving before experience and strength appearing before confidence fully exists. Throughout the film, he watched strangers arrive from another world, witnessed fear controlling his people for generations, and then chose resistance over silence despite understanding the danger involved. Audiences connected with him because many people understand what it feels like to stand against something larger than themselves, even when success feels impossible. Long before Stargate, Cruz had already started acting as a child, and later attended New York's famous High School of Performing Arts, the same institution that inspired fame. He understood performance early, but Hollywood has never guaranteed permanent stability. The interesting thing about Skara is that his fight did not end after the original movie concluded. Cruz later returned to continue the character's journey in Stargate SG-1, where Skara's story became darker and more emotionally complicated through possession loss and sacrifice. By 2026, he continues working creatively as a writer, producer, and performer. Skara picked up a weapon because he wanted freedom for his people. Off-camera, Alexis Cruz continued fighting quieter battles. Many actors understand well staying creative, staying relevant, and refusing to disappear inside an industry that sometimes forgets yesterday's faces faster than yesterday's headlines. Eric Avari was born on April 13, 1952. He played Kasuf, the wise patriarch of Abydos and father of Sha'uri, a man who initially welcomed strangers with kindness before fear and tragedy forced him to question that decision. Kasuf was not a warrior carrying weapons or a scientist chasing answers. He represented something older and more universal than either of those things. He represented fathers trying to protect families during dangerous times while carrying the burden of responsibility on their shoulders. One of his most emotional moments arrived after Ra's attack, when grief and regret collided inside a single heartbreaking exchange involving his son. Sometimes audiences remember characters not because of action scenes or dramatic speeches, but because they remind viewers of ordinary emotions hidden beneath extraordinary stories. Acting almost seemed destined for Eric Avari long before he stepped onto movie sets. His family carried historical connections to early Indian cinema, and he grew up surrounded by storytelling influences and artistic traditions. Yet destiny still required patience. Rather than becoming an overnight sensation, Avari slowly built his career across decades, appearing in some of science fiction's most recognizable worlds, including Star Trek: The Mummy Heroes and Independence Day. By 2026, he continues working steadily and remains deeply respected among longtime fans. Kasuf feared bringing strangers into his world because he worried about what might follow afterward. Ironically, Eric Avari spent his life stepping into countless fictional worlds and discovering that some journeys become much larger than anyone imagines at the beginning. French Stewart was born on February 20th, 1964. He played Lieutenant Louis Ferretti, one of the soldiers accompanying Colonel O'Neill's mission through the Stargate, and a character who spent much of the film observing impossible danger unfolding around him. Ferretti was not the loudest or most dominant presence within the story, yet he brought something extremely important to the expedition. He brought realism. He reacted the way many ordinary people probably would have reacted if suddenly transported across the universe into an unknown environment filled with strange technology and hidden threats. He was cautious, uncertain, and occasionally overwhelmed by events happening around him. Looking back now, it feels strange realizing that many audiences watching Stargate had no idea they were seeing someone who would later become one of television's most recognizable comedic faces. Before success arrived, Stewart worked difficult jobs and struggled through the ordinary uncertainty many actors know very well. He reportedly even performed inside costume promotions before larger opportunities finally appeared. Then only a few years after Stargate, everything changed with Third Rock from the Sun. Suddenly, the quiet soldier from another world's mission became television's hilariously confused alien, Harry Solomon. By 2026, Stewart continues acting steadily and remains familiar to multiple generations of viewers. There is something strangely fitting about that transformation. In Stargate, he traveled to another world, and years later audiences loved him for acting like someone who accidentally arrived from one. John Diehl was born on May 1, 1950. He played Lieutenant Colonel Charles Kowalski, the loyal military officer whose calm presence gave Colonel O'Neill someone he could trust during moments of uncertainty and danger. Kowalski represented a quality that often receives less attention in stories filled with heroes, villains, and larger-than-life personalities. He represented reliability. Every difficult mission requires people standing quietly beside leaders, people carrying responsibility without constantly demanding recognition for it. Diehl himself built a career following a remarkably similar path. Many viewers instantly recognize his face, even if they struggle remembering his name immediately. Throughout several decades, he worked consistently across television and film, becoming one of those actors audiences repeatedly encounter without always realizing how many stories they have shared with him over time. Before Stargate, Miami Vice had already introduced him to television audiences, but he continued building a reputation as a dependable character actor rather than aggressively chasing traditional celebrity status. That choice mattered because longevity sometimes grows from consistency rather than headlines or temporary excitement. By 2026, he continues working and proving that steady careers often outlive explosive fame. Kowalski followed O'Neill because he trusted him without hesitation and understood the importance of loyalty. John Diehl built his own career through a similar principle. In Hollywood, where attention constantly shifts toward newer faces, reliability quietly becomes one of the rarest strengths anyone can possess. Roland Emmerich was born on November 10, 1955. He was not an actor, but the director who built Stargate itself, the man responsible for opening the doorway audiences stepped through in 1994. Long before spaceships, pyramids, and alien worlds appeared on movie screens, Emmerich had already developed enormous ambitions while growing up in Germany. He wanted scale. He wanted spectacle. He wanted stories large enough to make audiences feel small, while simultaneously making imagination feel limitless. Stargate became one of the earliest major signs that those ambitions might actually work. The film arrived carrying unusual ideas and visual risks that could easily have failed, yet audiences embraced it because beneath the science fiction, there remained something timeless and familiar, people searching for answers and confronting fear. Success creates consequences, and Stargate changed Emmerich's future dramatically. Its success opened the path toward Independence Day, larger disaster films, and billions of dollars worldwide. Yet careers like stories rarely move upward forever, without complications appearing along the way. Some later projects created criticism and controversy, reminding audiences that success never guarantees universal approval or admiration. By 2026, Emmerich remains one of the most commercially successful filmmakers of his generation. Stargate introduced a machine capable of opening pathways to distant places and unknown worlds. Ironically, Roland Emmerich spent his own career doing something remarkably similar. He kept building giant cinematic doors and inviting audiences to walk through them without fully knowing what they would discover waiting on the other side. Before we close the gate for today, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into Hollywood history and the stories behind the stars. Stargate was never only about another world waiting beyond a doorway. It was about people stepping into uncertainty, loss, and hope. Their journeys remind us that life changes in unexpected moments, and sometimes the most important gate we ever walk through is the one standing in front of our own future.